When the right people come together at the right moment, when they care almost as much about winning as they do about each other, they can become the best of the best.
Welcome to the best soccer show. The best soccer show in the whole world.
Here we go! It's the best soccer show. Davis, Jared DuBois, picking his teeth until the last moment.
There's some ribeye in there, dude.
Yeah. Getting some of that good meat. We are live. It is Wednesday. It's time to talk American soccer. What a time to be alive, Mr. DuBois. What a time to be alive.
It's such a snow lose week.
I mean, I am sad for this is the who's the business reporter who said that thing once, like, I'm so sad for our country.
Neil
but this is
Cavuto.
Incredible content. No, it was the other guy.
Oh,
It doesn't matter.
the guy that's always yelling.
Darren Rovell said it, right? He said, I'm so sad for our country, but this is incredible content. I'm so sad for American soccer, but this is incredible content, my friend. This is next level content. In all my life, I don't think I thought we would have this moment right now. Like this, talking about stuff.
Why would you? Why would you ever think that this moment was going to exist?
It's a good point. It's a good point.
Okay, did we really? Okay, maybe I'm in the minority here. I always felt like is that we're just revisiting the wound that was already open. Like, I don't feel like I really got anything new out of any of this. Do you feel like there was really much new out of this? Other
Out of
than
the
just
report.
now it's official, like officially confirmed that the Reynas are like terrible people?
You're right. We knew, we had heard already, obviously through the initial disclosure of the Gio drama at the World Cup, and then who it was that, Berhalter claimed was blackmailing him, although this report does clarify not blackmail or not, not extortion, not technically legally speaking. But, this thing did give us details, right? It gave us specifics. Yeah. It gave us,
It gave a referee made the call. VAR reviewed it and made a call.
Well, yeah, that's kind of what it is. Like we knew it was a red card, but now we know just how aggressively dangerous
this is a call. This is a good
was.
call. This was new. Like Claudio's comments on the female referees. Thank you, BMR209 in the chat for reminding us that was new. Knowing that he was a crappy person in other ways as well.
Yeah, that part was extreme. Look, being an overbearing ass out of a parent is kind of an American tradition, and especially in recent times, right? Especially in sports, we're just sort of inundated with bad sports parents and bad stage parents and bad parents in general who make their kid this most special kid in the world, and everybody else sucks and is crap, and my kid gets special attention. That stuff's normal. But to have it so clearly identified that Claudio Reyna or was sexist, is sexist, I don't know if that changed for him, and combined his protective vibe or protective need to watch over Gio with this sexism. I mean, come on, man.
I don't know. I feel about this is like, and listen, I don't know if he's sexist or just shitty, but it's kind of like people who can't tell the difference between weather and climate when they say it's global warming, but it's snowing outside. Okay, right. Okay, that's weather. Yeah. This is climate. Let's know the difference between the two things.
But it's like that. It's like the person who says who yells out, and this is not quite the same thing, but it's still bad. Who yells out a racial epithet and in the heat of an angry tirade, and then goes, "Oh, I was just angry. I'm not actually racist." No. It came out because you were at your most honest when you were angry. So it seems pretty clear to me that Claudio Reyna has some pretty strong sexist attitudes if that's what comes out when he's bitching about Gio's treatment during a U17 game. Is that what that was?
Yeah,
DA
something like
Academy
that. Yeah.
game? Something like that? I mean, come on.
It's interesting. We know there's a few things. There's small little tidbits that we did learn a little bit more about here and there. And one of them being that, on the Berhalter side, and I think Berhalter ends up becoming the better looking one, as much as one can look better when they beat their wife or at the time girlfriend.
Whoa.
But he told the truth. I guess that's what comes down to this. At least he was honest with the committee. He took part in the process. I think for those reasons, he ends up looking like the better of the two losers here. But it is interesting it came out that it looks like Rose Berhalter hit him as well on that night, and him first.
Rosalind Berhalter, yes, she did. She
so
did apparently hit him, but
there is more content. It doesn't make it okay. But that's stuff we didn't know. There's more context to that scenario than we knew before. So it is interesting to see as this came out. And it just makes me wonder, too, as this announcement comes out, who's raising their hand still saying that they want this job? Either of them. Who's raising their hand saying, I want to walk into this hornet's nest and try to make something of this?
Yeah, that's an issue. I think that's probably the most important thing now, especially with the word today on the Nations League roster. And we will talk about the Nations League roster. I'm curious what people make of Claudio now. Like, what's your Jared? You and I go
He's
back,
done.
right? We
He's
go
toast.
back. But that's the thing. Like, of course he's toast. Of course we don't want to see him working in American soccer again. The Professional Referees Association, whoever that was very strong in their statement against him because of that sexist comment he made via email to U.S. Soccer. But, you know, this is a guy, when I was talking about him on WNBC on the radio, which you are aware,
WNBC.
right? You know?
WNBC.
It's been a banner week over at the WNBC studios this week. Tons to talk about.
Fantastic week in terms of the content, Emil. Absolutely.
Reyna, BC.
You know, I said, this is a guy who's up there with probably Tab Ramos for the best midfielder the United States has ever produced.
Yeah, John
You could
O'Brien's in that
argue-
conversation too, but not for longevity. The other two have
Who
much
is
more
it?
longevity.
Michael Bradley?
John O'Brien. No, John O'Brien.
John O'Brien. John O'Brien's no. I mean, yeah, okay, maybe talent-wise, sure. I'm just
Talent.
talking about
It depends how you want to
accomplishments,
to phrase it,
longevity.
yeah.
Okay. All I'm saying is he's in the conversation. I'm not trying to open up the debate on the best midfielder.
The original
US has ever
Captain
produced.
America. I mean, like, he was the long-serving American captain, one of the first guys to really do it at multiple levels in Europe. John Harkes was over there doing some of it. A few guys dabbled. Reyna, Rangers, Sunderland, Wolfsburg, Man City. Like, he was the first guy that really did it. He was a trailblazer.
He was, and that's why this is extra sad for me, right?
Yeah.
And you can't know what somebody's like sort of behind closed doors when we're just watching him play soccer. And you know, we had seen Claudio publicly because of his role with various organizations over the years, but I don't think we knew about this. And you know, I will say, and this is not an excuse, although they absolutely. They invoked Jack's memory in the statement, or the agent did in this statement. Now, I cannot believe for a second that the Reynas did not read and sign off on that statement before it was published via
For sure.
Apple Notes.
This is
via
the break
iPhone
in
Notes.
case of emergency thing, right? Like, this is the last thing that can make you feel something for the Reynas, and rightly so. They went through a terrible, terrible tragedy. But
Yeah.
that doesn't excuse the behavior, a pattern of behavior. If he said something crappy on the week that his son passed away, I get it. We're talking about a pattern behavior over 7 years.
Yeah.
7 years.
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't think you get to blame that.
This is what the statement said. I'm sure most people have seen it already, but this is what it said. U.S. soccer is a small community. Anyone who knows the Reynas knows that they are kind, generous people who have devoted countless hours and energy to promoting U.S. soccer and to the welfare of so many fellow players, parents, coaches, administrators, and others. They are also a tremendously loving family that was profoundly impacted by the terrible loss of their eldest son, Jack, to cancer in 2012 at the age of 13. Claudio and Danielle acknowledge that they have said and done things in the heat of the moment that they regret, particularly the statement that triggered the U.S. soccer investigation. Gio acknowledges that, like countless players before, he showed too much disappointment when not selected to play at the World Cup. That is only part of the story, but the only side of the story that the investigators chose to tell. It is disheartening and grossly unfair to see the family turned into one-dimensional caricatures to progress a narrative that benefits others. Hopefully, as a U.S. soccer community, we are better than that. Ever the victims...
Do me a
The
favor.
Reynas.
Back in that first paragraph when it says the Reynas have been what? Like they said, contributors. What did they say about about what they've done well for U.S. soccer in that first paragraph?
They are kind, generous people who have devoted countless hours and energy to promoting U.S. soccer and to the welfare of so many
So
fellow
if you
players,
have donated
parents, coaches,
so
and
much and you have given so much and you are so great, where's the people standing by your side right now? Where are all those people that are? Where's
interesting.
Where's the posse? Where's the entourage? Where's the people
Right.
that are standing up next to you in your moment of need, saying, "Yep, they are these people. They are not the people you've seen in this report. They are different."
So terrible. It sounds so terrible. Even Bill Cosby had people standing by his side, right? Even Bill Cosby had people saying, "Bill's a good guy. What are you talking about with all this?"
I'm honestly, like, where's the people standing by their side? So if that is so true, I just don't understand why they don't have an ally or someone standing up and saying, "Hey, you got the wrong version of these guys."
Yeah,
for what I can tell, it sounds like we nailed it on the head.
Yeah. So I don't like the statement. It's self-serving. It paints them as victims. It basically kind of shifts the blame. It says, hey, we did all this good stuff. It's unfair for you to treat us like this, except, again, it's in the report, it's in the investigation that they chose not to engage with the interviews that they could have used to tell their side of the story, right? Here's a one-sided story. Well, why is it one-sided, Mr. and Mrs. Reyna? Well, because you chose not to engage with this, right? I know there is a USMNT Anon portion of the fan base that is saying that this was some sort of hit piece investigation meant to tear down the Reynas. For some reason, I can't fathom why that would be a good idea for U.S. soccer, by the way, to tear down the Reynas. They were just
too strong, too powerful.
The idea that all of U.S. soccer is on Berhalter's side.
Some people out there need to hear this, Jason.
For this?
Some people out there need to hear this. House of Cards isn't real. Like, that's not real life. What you see on Netflix and what you see, dramas that you watch.
We almost chose House of Cards for this week's image. It was in the mix. We did not go with that. I know some people have complained about us talking about an image. Watch the YouTube version of the show.
You'll get it faster.
We'll also tweet this stuff. But Nicholas Soup and Sausage, Nicholas Soup and Salad did an incredible job with the Americans. It's very good. It's Danielle and Claudio.
Great job with the graphic, but let's make sure we understand that the phrase is from me.
The phrase was from you. I came up with the idea of the show as the image, but you did say the Americans. That was absolutely
for the people in the chat that joined late. Maybe just flash it on the screen real quick. We won't keep talking about it, but just so they can see what.
Just so they can see what Nick did this week.
And Nick is saying that once he sees it, he can't unsee it. He is saying that.
I don't know. We need to go down this road.
Okay. All right. Never mind. Okay.
No. Okay. Go ahead. Say it. Go ahead.
No, you.
No, you were going to say what
he's
Nick
saying
has
that
told us.
Claudio Reyna's wife looks like Eric Winalda's sister, and once you see it, you can't not see Eric Winalda in her face. I don't see it.
I don't see it either.
I don't see it.
I don't see it. Now you're hanging Nick out to dry, which I'm enjoying. To be honest with you,
I was putting it out there in the Slack.
No, it's okay.
He had a couple of people backing him.
The real question here, and I do think that what you already brought up. How does this impact the attractiveness of both the supporting director and the head coaching job and the GM job for that matter? There's 3 open jobs at U.S. Soccer for the men's national team. How does this impact the attractiveness of those jobs, the program? That is a big question. But before that, it's the Gio question. Now, I don't really think there was a lot of complicated elements to this. It was, you have to call in Gio now because you need to put this behind you. Gio's too talented to leave out of the program. He didn't do these things. He may have thrown a tantrum at the World Cup, but as Tim Ream and others have said, and Anthony Hudson has said, that was dealt with in Qatar. Like, they went through the internal team, the internal team process to kind of get past what Gio did. I don't think it's good, and I do have to worry about Gio going forward a little bit, but he has every right to be back in this team if he has gone through the apology process and if he's talented enough to be in the group, which we know he is.
This is the interesting thing. I don't understand why people are somewhat conflicted on this, because one good thing about being a fan of the U.S. national team, and one of the reasons there's so much outrage at times over the selection process, is that we all clamor for this to be a merit-based system.
We do.
If you're good enough, you're good enough. If you're good enough, you do it. So in a merit-based system, if he failed and if he messed up at the World Cup and a penance was paid at the satisfaction of the team and the coach at the time, how does he not merit any further call-up? Because he did what he was supposed to do at that time.
We're never going to get like polling data from 25 other players and a coaching staff about how many of them are cool with Gio after what happened. But, again, this was the process in place. And this is what ultimately the guy in charge, whether you liked it or not, Greg Berhalter, decided that's how he decided to handle it. And he said, okay, we're done here. Once you get to that point, you can't reopen that can of worms. You can't go back and relitigate and say, well, Gio actually didn't do enough, or he didn't apologize the right way, or his parents are assholes, so now we have to treat him differently because of that fact.
Give the kid a chance to turn the cheek. I mean, give him, if anything, The only evidence we have is what Gio's given us in the last 3 months, 4 months since this happened. First 3 games he got back on the field, he was stellar.
But what else did he do? Let's remember what else he did when he scored those goals.
Well, I mean, he celebrated a bit.
He celebrated in a very specific kind of way that was
I think he's
clearly
right.
in
For all we know,
reference.
he's talking about his parents. Shut up, and I'm not listening to you. How do we know he's not talking about his parents? Leave that aside.
That's possible. I'm not saying it's a disqualifying thing. I'm not saying that I even care that he did the celebrations he did. I think he's a 19, now 20-year-old kid who acts like a 19 or 20-year-old kid. And that sort of leeway goes so far. You're still in a professional environment. You still have to conduct yourself a certain way. You're still responsible to your teammates, accountable to them, and you can't just treat them like shit.
And as a responsible
you're upset.
professional, the guy's been riding the pine for weeks now, for multiple games. He's finally getting back in now that William Brand is injured, but didn't start on the weekend. But during that time, we didn't hear him speaking out. We didn't see him showing frustration that he wasn't getting game time despite scoring goals. If anything, he had more of a claim to getting some minutes with Dortmund than he did with the U.S. national team.
When you say that, how would we see it? Like
he could be posting Instagram stuff.
That's true.
When he scores or when he gets on the field, he could be pointing at the. Remember Clint Mathis back in the day, tapping his watch, telling the coach, "Hey, give me playing time." There's ways that guys can do this.
That's a good point. You're right that he could be more of a prima donna publicly. I forgot about social media being
everything that Gio
an
needs to be
this.
doing to revamp his career. He's doing right now. The moments he's getting on the field, he's playing well, and when he's not playing, he's doing nothing to put the spotlight on him in a negative way. Only things he can do right now: shut up and play. Right? He's shutting up and playing.
He has shut it.
Now
up.
he has another thing he has to do.
On.
He has to come into this team.
Shut it
and
up.
Face the music with them.
Shut up. Shut it up.
Isn't that like? Wouldn't you be crapping your pants if you shut up?
I'm asking you how to conjugate this. Did he shut up? That's past tense and present. You need to shut up, and you just shut up.
Would you say you shut the door?
I don't think that's correct. I don't think that's right. Okay, he didn't shut. He's not shutting up.
But what I'm saying is that he has another
quiet.
hurdle to go over. He has one of the last hurdles in my mind to go over, and that's making it right with the team. Because last time he left them, he made his part right with the team. Yeah. But this organization has gone through something that these players didn't ask for.
I would be very curious to know, and we're not going to hear anything. And the guy who is the most vocal leader on this team is not in the group for the Nations League, and Tyler Adams. Be very curious to know how they're processing Gio's parents' behavior in that team. And it's not like, by the way, it's not like the players weren't aware of the Reynas being shitty, because at the World Cup, which is in the report, apparently after Gio did not play against Wales, the Reynas were very publicly like, we're not getting on that bus with the Berhalter family. Ew. And this was Danielle Reyna's big stand. I'm not getting on that bus.
It smells like Nike shoes.
It's all cool kicks and back passes over there. I don't want to be on that bus. So everybody would have heard this, right? The small community, grapevine stuff. Everybody knew. All the friends and family are talking about it. It's going to get back to the players. So they're all very aware that Gio's parents were throwing a tantrum during the World Cup. And I don't know what I guess I'm trying to imagine myself in this situation. Obviously, I was never going to be a World Cup player or a professional athlete of any kind. But have you ever been in a team where one of your teammates' parents were just acting like idiots, and then it's not the kid's fault, it's not your teammate's fault, but it kind of sticks to them.
I'm more in a situation where I've coached a team and a parent is like that.
Well, so that's just coaching soccer in America, right?
I have an interesting proposition for you, though, a hypothetical for you.
Oh, this isn't a pick your poison?
No, it's not pick your poison. I know. If you want, I have one in the chat we can do if you want. So my question to you is, 23 dudes get together. I think it's 24. 24 on this roster, 24 instead of a 26-man roster coming in for this.
This particular roster
These
is 24
dudes get together. Of the 23 that aren't Gio, who's the first one in that dining room that cracks the parent joke? Who's the first one that breaks that ice?
I mean, it's Weston, because everybody he can get away with it, where Gio can't say shit back to Weston McKennie. There's no way he's clapping back on Weston McKennie. Not a chance. He's too lovable. Weston's too lovable. That's why he can do it, right? He can make that joke, right? And by the way,
baby,
they all have parents who have done not exactly the same thing, who have done questionable things. Whether we saw that, whether it was public, whether it was when they were kids or in the youth teams, every one of these, I've been tweeted at. I've been tweeted at. Weston McKennie's dad is active on Twitter. Did you know that? He's out there.
I did.
He's out there, and he says shit about his son when people talk negatively about Weston. He's out there. I don't know.
I mean, he must not have Ernie Stewart's number, but okay.
Well, that's the thing. Like, does he have Ernie? Is he more concerned about the internal part of it, where obviously Claudio Reyna has pull that maybe I think it's John McKennie doesn't have, but social media, I can get out there it's funny that there's not a lot of like attempting to do sock puppet stuff or burner accounts. It's kind of like, no, this is me.
It just opens up a whole new vein of mama jokes.
Well, it can only go so far, right? Because I know, like, they're not gonna intentionally try to tear down Gio Reyna, right? I mean,
you can't let that slide if that's your boy. You got to make a joke somewhere in there, or maybe I just come from an age where you just did that.
By the way, I want to
ask
the chat this. This is direct involvement with the chat as we do the show. As I was doing my radio show today, I was made aware that over at The Athletic, on some of the stories that Paul Tenorio was posting on this, the comment section was on fire, as you can imagine. And there was one person in particular, I think it was like going by the name Kevin M., who everybody in these comments, as they were happening, was 100% convinced that it was Claudio Reyna's burner account.
Really?
But The Athletic went back and deleted all the actual comments from this Kevin M, and I couldn't see him. It said moderator, whatever, and I was like, damn it, what did he say? Because everybody after that was still there, and it was like, okay, Claudio, we see you, Claudio, which would make me just more sad if that was the case.
If Claudio Reyna is Kevin M, what does the M stand for?
It's a good question. Oh man,
Murder?
Why Kevin? Why Kevin? I feel offended by that.
It is the most plain white dude name out there.
My brother's name is Kevin. What are you trying to say?
Case in point.
What you don't know? You don't know my brother. You don't know how plain or white he might be. You see me. How do you know it's my genetic brother? You don't know. It could be adopted. Well, actually not adopted. He's my full brother.
The chat is saying either Macho or Mena.
It would be much better if it was like Rowdio Mena or something, or Sena. That'd be fantastic. Look, Gio has to come in.
Derek Ritchie saying Kevin M has been on their show. I don't think he's Claudio. You think there's only one Kevin M?
Yeah, there's only one Kevin M in the entire world.
I don't know, maybe
and only one in American soccer named Kevin M. I don't know. It was just the way that this person was going to bat for the Reynas that kind of felt weird. And obviously it's a joke to call it a burner account of Claudio's after a while because he keeps backing the Reynas. This leaves the Reynas personas non grata. It leaves Gio Reyna a part of the program but needing to do some work. It also makes things very uncomfortable, I think, for Gio next week when he lands in Orlando. And there will be reporters and U.S. Soccer. I've already said this on the radio that they have to make him available. You cannot hide Gio away, right? You can't
I think if I'm U.S. Soccer, I'm putting him on the first panel that there is. I rip the Band-Aid off. Like, let him face it like a man. Granted, he didn't necessarily do anything wrong, but that's the guy that everyone wants to talk about. But it was interesting to me, and I don't know the answer to this. And I don't mean to bring up old stuff or make things awkward, but did John Harkes and Eric Winalda ever feature in a roster together again after the World Cup?
I don't remember that.
In '98?
I don't know that. I mean, obviously,
because is this the most awkward moment in U.S. soccer history when he walks into that locker room? Like, I can't think of one more awkward than that one potentially, and I don't know if that one ever happened.
Yeah, I would think so. I mean, there might have been an awkward moment when Weston and Christian Pulisic were in the same locker room after the rumors started swirling following the Nashville incident.
But if it didn't really happen, it's not awkward.
No,
it's just more like,
That's still weird for Christian, though. Still
not for Weston,
weird.
though. That's not weird. If it didn't happen, it's like, I don't know if y'all heard the rumors over there.
I know. Look, I still think you got to get this done. You got to put it behind you as soon as possible. And look, I don't think there's, this isn't a gotcha situation. Nobody who U.S. Soccer is going to give access to for Gio's availability is going to be like, hey, your parents are assholes. What do you think of that, dude? Like, they're going to ask him his feelings. They're going to ask him, what his relationship is with his parents, and he doesn't have to answer that. All he has to say is, look, I love my parents, and I'm gonna try to play hard for this team. That's all he has to do. He doesn't have to say anything else. That's his prerogative.
I love my parents. They've sacrificed a lot to get me here. I don't support the way in which they handle themselves. All I can tell you is that going forward, it's going to be about me and my game. That's the soundbite. You say that, you're gold.
The other move, somebody's asking, this is very good from Steve. If you're Gio, what's the J. Rodius way of getting ahead of this? Can I give you my thought, and then you tell me? I know it's your... Oh, you can go first.
I don't have an answer right now. I got to think about it for a second.
Oh, I'm thinking that you go and you find somebody famous, and you start posting Instagram pictures that you're dating, that you're making... That's the way.
That's a nice way. I'll tell you the other way that a celebrity culture would deal with this. Check into rehab. Check into rehab, baby. Like, take 8 weeks. Take 8 weeks. You're on the bench anyway. Take 8 weeks. Come out the other side of Saint.
Man, what if he got to that conference? Well, no, this would be terrible. Look, I'm not trying to break up. I'm not suggesting Gio should break up with his parents. I would never suggest that, but it would be amazing if he got to that press conference.
Oh, Slay Moon Fry style?
I'd like you to no longer refer to me as Giovanni Reyna. Now I am just Giovanni.
M. I'm Giovanni M.
I'm Giovanni M. I'm Mena now. I'm Giovanni Mena. Thank you for your cooperation on this issue. Oh man.
What if you just took a one-word name like Madonna, or like when Prince became a symbol like this?
Well, that's what I'm saying. Like Gio.
Just Gio.
There are Giovannis
out
there.
Just Gio, like a cologne. Just Gio.
But it's not like the Brazilians don't have 17 Freds and 12 Ramiros and like whatever. Like just be Gio or be Giovanni, and just put that on the back of everything. No more Reyna, just Giovanni. Just do that.
Just put it on the back. What if he did come out and on the back of his jersey it just said Gio or just said Giovanni? Like, just took the Reyna off the name of the back.
Oh man,
that would be a statement. Oh crap! Incredible. Let's say they don't make him available for media. Not a word from Gio Reyna leading into the game.
Yeah.
He's unavailable the whole time. The first time anyone sees him, he walks out of the tunnel. He's not even making the starter. He's not a starter. He comes off the bench, right? So he has to take the top off. He takes the top off.
He's running. He's over there warming up. He's got his penny on. You don't see it. You don't see it. You don't see it.
Yep. And on the back of his jersey, just one letter, M.
Right there next to the fourth official. And they're like, Giovanni's ready to check into the game. It's like, oh my God. Wow. Yeah, absolutely. Actually, here, so quick pick your poison. Which would go down? I guess that would have to. I don't even know. This isn't Pick Your Poison. I was going to say Man in the Mirror compared to this, but that would trump.
What would be the better meme?
What would be the bigger
Man in the
moment?
Mirror still wins, and I'm going to tell you why. Because Mexico fans don't care about what happens with Gio Reyna's parents. The U.S.-Mexico thing. Mexican media had that on every front of every paper in Mexico. Like, no one's going to care about this. What, the Argentines are going to care about the guy that didn't choose them or something? Or maybe in Dortmund it makes a paper? No, it's Man in the Mirror.
Yeah, okay. All right, if you say so. Giovanni Reyna, I have to imagine he's going to play fairly significant minutes just because he's one of the best options that Anthony Hudson's got.
Well, maybe we should transition a little bit to the roster because I do have some. I think we already talked about Tyler Adams not being there, and I think that opens up questions about not just Gio, but how other players could best be utilized in a system here. So maybe it's time to transition into that.
So I'll go through the roster here in our traditional style. Position groups, stop me if you want to make a comment. But I will also say, like, it's important to remember the context of this.
Yep.
They're facing Grenada and El Salvador. And El Salvador by far is the tougher challenge. But even against El Salvador, they're significant favorites. Doesn't mean they're going to win the game. Doesn't mean it's going to be easy. I'm not suggesting that at all. I think they drew with El Salvador in the Nations League already. Obviously, we know about the draw in El Salvador during World Cup qualifying. So that, these are things to consider. But it's not like they're facing off against Mexico and Canada, right? They're not facing off against the two best teams in CONCACAF. So that's important. All right. So Anthony Hudson has called in a 24-player roster. Also worth pointing out, he could have called in as many players as he wanted. Mexico called in 35 players for the Mexican team. That
Julian Araujo, one of them?
Cuco? Why am I blanking on his name? Yeah. Who did you say?
Did they bring Julian Araujo in?
I have not. I think so. Yeah, I think Julian Araujo. I think Julian Araujo, or however.
Now that he's on
Gomez
Barcelona's
must
bench, he's good enough for them, I guess.
yeah, now he's a Barcelona B player, but not actually a Barcelona B player. Now that he's not under the close watch of Chris Klein, he's good enough for Mexico. All right, let's go through this. Goalkeepers: Ethan Horvath, Zach Steffen, Matt Turner, Mr. Dubois.
Chuck, given the fact that MLS got only one representative in all of this, it seems that obviously MLS isn't stopping their season for this window. I think MLS players are always going to be a bit of a premium.
MLS to the Nations League. Screw you, Nations League. So.
Yeah, too, a little bit. Yeah, they definitely don't respect it. I mean, I don't respect it either. I don't understand what it is still to this day. But
no respect for the Nations League.
I think it's not too surprising. Sean Johnson, there could be a conversation. Should Sean Johnson be in this trio? I mean, he was at the World Cup, but I think we talk about awkward situations in the dining room. Who's got the more awkward situation, Ricardo Pepi or Zach Steffen? Who's coming in with more chip on their shoulder between those two guys?
Well, I mean, I think Zach Steffen had a much deeper resume to be on a World Cup roster than Ricardo Pepi did.
Yes, starting
at the
despite results and Berhalter's favorite chosen.
We'll see, we'll see how Steffen handles this. I mean, I'm curious if Matt Turner's still the number one, or if
I bet you they both
handles it that way.
I bet you they both
think
get a
that's
game.
probably what's going to happen. That's probably what's going to happen.
I think whoever gets the El Salvador game is the one that you should probably think has the leg up right now. But let's be honest, Matt Turner's the number one. Matt Turner is the number one.
Yeah, but he's Arsenal's number two. You know, he's Arsenal's number two, and it just doesn't. You know, I don't know. It doesn't fill me with a lot of confidence. He wasn't great in the Europa League. It's a thing. You know, it's a thing.
Whatever. In my mind, he is the leader until he does something on the field that makes him not be. So.
All right. Defender. So real quick, on goalkeepers, there's really nobody else who has a claim to this. You mentioned Sean Johnson already. He's just a veteran guy. MLS isn't stopping. No reason to call him up. Yeah. Gaga's not getting games. He's a project. He's for the future. It's fine. You know,
a little bit surprised me not to bring Gaga, and he's not doing anything else. Why not get him some minutes here? But
he's training at Chelsea, dude. Come on. He's getting some Cobham time or whatever the training
Turner's
facility
training at Arsenal. So.
Well, but you called. What I'm saying is that Gaga is doing something.
I think this echoes what I think. I think most people are pretty happy with this roster overall. But one of the things you are here to say is that we thought it'd be younger. We thought it'd be like the launch of a new 4-year stretch.
I can explain that. I'll get to it in a second. Defenders, or I have a theory about that. Serginho Dest, Mark McKenzie, Tim Ream, Brian Reynolds, Anthony Robinson, Miles Robinson, Joe Scally, Austin Trusty. You know, the thing stands out. Miles, the only MLS player here, but also returned to the national team for him off the injury. Let's see.
The omissions are what's bigger here, and
so let's talk about the inclusions first, and then we'll get to the omissions. Brian Reynolds playing a lot in Belgium and you know, doing well, deserving of this. I mean, I think that depends on what you think of the fullback pool in Europe, because again, no MLS players outside of Miles in this group.
Yeah, from all accounts, he's having a good season in Belgium. I mean, that's the same place that Sam Vines was good enough to get a look here and there. Mark McKenzie playing in Belgium as well. So if it's good enough for those guys, it's good enough for Brian Reynolds. It's good to see Brian Reynolds. Well, go ahead.
Can you name Brian Reynolds' club right off the top of your head? Go.
Westeros. No, Westerlo or Westerlo.
Westeros is way cooler than Westerlo. But
Westerlo? Is that what it is?
Yeah. Westerlo. I don't know if it's
the only reason I remember, I think, is because it sounds like Westeros. So.
Oh, okay. You're such a nerd. Okay, let's see. What else?
Dest
is not playing. Huh?
It's a pneumatic device. Or numeric. What is it? Mnemonic? Mnemonic device.
They're saying pneumatic device.
Like a drill. Yeah.
You know, Serginho Dest isn't playing and doesn't seem to be in AC Milan's long-term plans, and he's not in Barcelona's plans, but he's still one of the most talented players we have. So, you know, this is just the way things have to be with him.
Yeah, but I think he's on notice. Joe Scally's playing very well for Mönchengladbach. They're bringing Brian Reynolds in as well. They brought 3 right backs into this camp.
Do you buy the idea of Tim Weah as a fullback, by the way?
Fuck no.
Hey, whoa. Well, we curse occasionally on this show.
You flipped off the camera earlier. Twice.
Wait, hold on. I need
Double
a quick
bird.
poll. I need a quick poll. Is the F-bomb the same as flipping off the camera? Is that true?
It literally means the same thing.
It means it. I didn't say it out loud. Only the video audience
So
saw
it's good. It's good enough for Maverick to conduct international relations, so you can do it. But I can't say the word, I guess.
I mean, I wasn't doing it upside down with the.
But in my defense, you asked me if Tim Weah should play defense. There is no other response.
Look, he's more of a wing back than a full back. But I just,
God,
you know,
who isn't?
just asking. I'm asking. Okay, Austin Trusty here, apparently earning him a spot from his club at Birmingham. All right, now the omissions from this place, from the defender group. No EPB, no Chris Richards.
I think EPB was borderline anyway.
No CCV, no Cameron Coavitas.
I think Chris Richards was borderline. He's not playing now for Crystal Palace.
No,
I still think he's talented enough that if he was here, you wouldn't bat an eye. But he got 3 or 4 games when their preferred center back duo was not available, and since they've become available, he's the 3rd best center back at Crystal Palace right now in the eyes of Patrick Vieira. So maybe he gets brought in, because here's the thing: if Miles Robinson is here, why isn't Chris Richards? So there is something there. He's MLS. No other MLS players here. Why is he getting released and coming to camp? I don't know. I feel like if you're talking about a like for like.
My guess on that, by the way, is that Miles Robinson's contract is up at the end of the year, and he wants to test the European waters, and he wants as many caps as he can get to help with potential.
The U.S. national team's job is not to be his.
No, but work. I'm saying work. I'm saying he's good enough to be in the national team when he's healthy. Right,
so Atlanta's take him. We want to make money off him. Well, he's for free.
No, he's going to be on a free. Yeah. I'm thinking Atlanta is doing him a solid. They don't have to release him. Well, actually, they do have to release him.
It's interesting. Does Atlanta have a bye next week?
Sorry, my mistake. They do have to release him because it's a FIFA window. So if U.S. Soccer says we want Miles Robinson, Atlanta can't say no. So he can go because, again, he needs caps for potential.
It just is an odd dynamic that no other. I mean, you would think Walker Zimmerman. If Miles Robinson's good,
not a guy going to Europe
Zimmerman.
at the end of the year. But what are you talking about?
Like, seem to have I don't know. Those are two things that are not connected to me.
You don't think that Miles Robinson playing in this team has anything to do with his work permit status down the line? I think it absolutely does.
I just would have thought he had enough caps in 2022 to make it justifiable.
No, he hasn't played in a year. Has it been a year?
I thought it was like summertime when he went out.
He got hurt at the very beginning of the season in 2022. He hasn't played at all for a year.
Okay.
He needs a cap. And again, they could have called up a bunch of MLS players and forced MLS teams to release because of the FIFA window. But of course, this is negotiation. That's Grenada and El Salvador. How serious is this? All that stuff.
Listen, we're talking Chris Richards, but honestly, the biggest omission here is Cameron Coavitas.
Cameron Coavitas, get it right. Get it right.
I mean, literally, you could make the case that outside of Tim Ream having the most insane season for an American player ever, Cameron Coavitas may be having the best defensive season in quite some time, to the Boca Negra days or anything like that. I mean, he's having a fantastic 2 years at Celtic. How is he not here?
Wrecking the Scottish Premiership. Absolutely.
How is he not here?
I think this has to. Well, okay, I don't know. I don't know why he's not there. I do know that that Hudson said something about, specifically when asked about center backs, that they are trying to manage things with other tournaments and windows coming up in the future. And that, maybe CCV is a Gold Cup guy. Maybe there was a negotiation between him and the national team. And, do I come in? Do I cross the Atlantic now? All that stuff. I don't know.
Maybe Celtic gave some pushback. I don't know. This is why you need a Brian McBride reaching out to teams and making sure guys are getting released.
Remember that there's nobody doing anything except for Anthony Hudson. And he is an interim guy. He's not supposed to be there. He's not supposed to be the guy with the con. He's not supposed to be in charge. He's been thrust into the, he's a coach. I think he's got a decent enough resume, especially with international experience in a couple places. But, this is not ideal. And who knows how much of that was a breakdown in the ability of the Fed to talk to these teams and figure all this out, because there's essentially one guy doing all that. I mean, he's delegating to a staff, but it's basically just, it's a guy with no hand, Jared. He's got no hand.
All that being said, do you expect to see the same center back combo starting both games?
Do I see the same center back combo starting both games? No, I think
probably who are you starting on the most important of the two?
The most important game you start probably Ream and Robinson together, I would guess.
I would say so. I mean, in Miles Robinson, you have someone that can make up for the speed but the problem is they've both played left center back in the past for the U.S. national team. I don't think that's a big deal, but that is where Miles Robinson was in pen before Tim Ream came around.
McKenzie's played on the right side of a center back pairing. I don't know. I mean, I don't think it matters a whole lot. But
I just hope we get to see Austin Trusty at some point.
The two best center backs are Tim Ream and Miles Robinson. Are you surprised at all? And maybe this is the swan song or whatever. But are you surprised at all that 35-year-old Tim Ream is still here and that there's not like this is what you meant by going younger, right?
No, because we have a Copa America in a year from now. So I think it's not outside the realm of possibility that Tim Ream is still performing at this level 1 year from now. And if he is, he gives you the best chance to be competitive at the Copa America. If this Tim Ream is still here next summer, he gives you the best chance.
I really hope, yes, sure. I hope Tim Ream's playing at this level next summer, but I also hope that we have three other guys who are playing at a similar level to Tim Ream come next summer. Because otherwise,
who on this list can't learn from Tim Ream? Who on this list can't learn from Tim Ream? You bring this guy in.
That's fair.
You see not just the player he's being at Fulham. You see the human being that he's being at Fulham, like walking out with the headphones for the person. He's just a good human being.
I'm not sure that there's a ton of like consistent logic. I mean, when people are frustrated by Berhalter's call-ups, Hudson, again, what is his skin in the game other than to make himself look pretty decent for a couple of more games and maybe another window down the line before the U.S. goes out and gets an actual head coach? Legacy, I mean, sure, but what I'm saying is the only reason for Anthony Hudson to care is to help him get his next job. I mean, I'm not saying he doesn't care about the program and that, like, kumbaya, we're all in this together. I was on Greg's staff at the World Cup. I love these guys kind of way. But I'm saying for him as a coach, if he doesn't have long-term stability, if he can't look past the summer with having the job, what is his end game here, right?
You make it sound like because he doesn't have longevity or a guarantee that he doesn't care about where the system's going. He's being paid to care.
I'm saying. That's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is you don't go 100% young, experimental with these two games. I mean, again, they're consequential games on paper, so there's that. But you don't do that if you care at all about how you're going to look when you are looking for your next job. So if Anthony Hudson had some stability and had a contract that took him through next year or the year after, whatever, and I'm not saying we want that, but if he did, he would go younger with this group. He might not have called Tim Ream. He might have said...
Can he do any results between now and the summer that would get him this job? With any string of results? I don't think so either.
No.
So I think that ship is sailed.
I mean, he's on a free roll. I do think there's that. He's playing free here, but it's also still, what is the psychology of it when you can't look past the summer, that you're only focused. And like, I don't know about Gold Cup. I don't know about Gold Cup. Okay, let's move on from defenders and talk midfielders. Midfielders: Brendan Aronson, Johnny Cardoso, Luca de la Torre, Weston McKennie, Yunus Musa, and Alan Senora. Thoughts, Mr. DuBois?
The one that jumped off the page is the Johnny Cardoso addition. Now, I think a couple of things on this. Obviously, Tyler Adams not here. Huge omission due to hamstring injury at Leeds.
Oh, wait, question for you. Do you believe that Tyler Adams legitimately has a hamstring injury that would prevent him from playing in these games?
Yeah. No, I mean, okay. I think he has a hamstring injury that makes it so it's not worth the risk of Leeds sending him. Is that the same thing? That's what I think is happening.
Okay. So
that's all it should have take.
Hold on. If this was a World Cup qualifier, he would be here, but it's not. So whatever. Just leave him.
What's more important to Tyler Adams right now? Securing that he'll be in the Premiership along with two other Americans next season?
No, I agree.
Or being here to play Grenada?
I agree, but I'm not saying it's the wrong move. I'm not accusing Tyler Adams of doing something wrong. I'm saying that if it turns out that it's like, my hamstring, my hamstring, guys, it doesn't really feel it.
Yeah, but they sent McKennie and Aronson. It's not like Leeds is playing games.
I think you could argue that minutes wise, Tyler's carried a lot more of the load, right? Which is even if he's
for sure
hurt, even if he's not hurt or he's hurt or whatever,
the chance to rest him for a week is a very big deal for Leeds down the stretch right here. He's gonna play if he can, and he's gonna go 90 every time he can do it. He's got an amazing set of amazing engine under the hood there. But
should we do that? Should we dub him TA90? Can we do that, or is that sounds better than MB90? No, Michael Bradley used to be MB90 because he would go 90 every single time out. He never came off the field.
Careful, T and A stands for a few different things.
Not T and A, just TA.
My bad.
Man, your brain, man, it's broken. What happened to you?
I don't want to see any TNA that's 90.
80s and 90s television ruined Jared DuBois. That's
So
what I'm
Johnny
seeing.
Cardoso.
Yeah, Johnny Soccer, Johnny Football.
Here's my question to you, first of all. Is Johnny Cardoso the second best defensive midfielder we have?
Behind Kellen Acosta, who's not here because...
Kellen Acosta, yeah. So not only are you're talking about, is he the third best defensive midfielder the U.S. has?
Oh, man. I think there are some young guys you could argue about, but they're not more accomplished than Johnny in terms of their careers at this point. You know, he's kind of this guy he's a bit of a mystery, right? He plays in Brazil. That's not the most visible league. He's been in the national team picture a little bit, but not enough for us to get a real sense of him. I think it's unfair to probably judge him on the small sample size, but he's never
Let me give you a couple names.
incredible.
Let me
He
give
was
you a
part
couple
of a
names.
failed. Hold on, he's part of a failed Olympic qualifying team where I think
you can't blame him. For
No,
the
no,
whole team.
but I'm just giving you all of the information I have about Johnny Cardoso, right? What I'm saying is I don't know. Like, I don't know if he's the third best defensive midfielder
All right,
we have.
Johnny Cardoso
Maybe-
or Jackson Yule?
I'm going to say Cardoso because I don't trust you as a defender.
Johnny Cardoso or Gianluca Busio?
Oh, man. Gianluca Busio's not a 6, though.
I'm just trying to save guys that spent some time there.
I know, but he's not a 6. He's more like a... He's like a wannabe Pirlo at that position, but you need to protect him. You need to help him back there. He can't do Tyler work.
So Cardoso?
I guess, yeah. I
Cardoso
guess.
or Michael Bradley?
At this point, right now, this second?
If you had to win a game tomorrow
Wow.
and you needed your two best center defenders, center defensive
Man,
midfielders are
that
hurt.
that is the hardest. I think that's the hardest. Let's do it this way. Because it is. It is.
Oh, that's poison.
I'm probably being unfair to Cardoso, but he hasn't shown me that he's at a top international level. I don't know, maybe Grenada and El Salvador level, but I don't know that I would be okay with Johnny Cardoso starting a qualifier against anybody on the road in CONCACAF. It's certainly not a World Cup game or a Copa America game. But Michael Bradley.
We're cheating this question a little bit.
Michael Bradley is washed at this point physically. Like, see it.
We're cheating. We're cheating this question a little bit because the right answer is Weston McKennie or Yunus Musa. Like that's what you would
Yes,
really do.
that's
You would put
the
one of
answer.
them there.
I would play
and make the
Delatorre
best.
before any of the guys you mentioned. Yeah.
If you put a McKennie, Musa, and Delatorre
Dax
man,
is the answer. That's the answer. He's the
I would take Dax over them. Well, actually, you know what? I mean, what about Phillies? What am I blanking?
Philadelphia's number 6.
Yeah.
A guy who's not an American, Jose Martinez. That guy.
No. Was it Leon?
Oh,
Flatch or
Leon
something?
Flock. You're talking about Leon Flock.
Yeah, Flock.
Yeah, Leon Flock is more like he's more a two-way midfielder because Martinez does so much work. But I would play Flock ahead of everybody you mentioned, except for maybe Johnny. I don't know. That's the thing. I don't know about Johnny enough to say.
Now, the other question is do you even need to bring a defensive midfielder in for the level of opponent this is going to be?
A good question.
But here's the thing: I think people are freaking out because they see him starting or something like that. I don't think Johnny Cardoso starts either of these two games. I think he's there in case you're protecting a lead with 20 minutes to go.
Well, then,
and he's a sub that you make.
Then give me your. I mean, by the way, Brendan Aronson being listed here, I don't think that means a ton, but it's interesting. It's a thing to note. Senora is an attacking player, right? We can agree on that for the most part.
Yeah.
Senora's a player you're not going to play at the 6, so you can't use him there. You're going to have to play him in one of the forward spots. We know where McKennie plays. I think McKennie, you could ask him to do it. He has the philosophy to do it. Whether he's disciplined enough to do it is a different question, right? We're talking
just
Jermaine
to
Jones
keep this
vibes.
for one more second here, it's a couple from the chat. Cardoso or Jimmy Sands?
I would probably play Jimmy Sands. I know it didn't end well.
Obviously,
for him at
MLS,
Rangers.
so it may not be an option.
He wouldn't be
Johnny
probably not an option.
Johnny Cardoso or Aiden Morris, who Anthony Hudson's already given a chance.
Don't have man. Maybe I'd give Morris a chance, but it's a flip of the coin. It's not like I think Morris.
Yeah,
is
I agree
much
with
better
all three of
player.
those that we just mentioned right there with Sands, Cardoso, and Morris. None of them give you a sense of trust, but Sands has both been good and bad at this position for the U.S. national team in the times that he's had, but he has a little bit more experience. So I don't know. It's like I said, it's a true pick your poison there. But I'll tell you who's missing from this midfield that I'm really surprised by.
Tell me.
And nothing's going to tell you that Anthony Hudson thinks Scotland is shite than the fact that Malik Tillman is not here. Malik Tillman is not here.
That's an odd one. I would
The
think
dude's having an
you know,
amazing season, just like CCV.
Senora over Tillman is the question, right? That's the one. I mean, or Cardoso, but I think Cardoso because he's got a more defensive profile. Tillman is hurt. We're being told that Tillman is hurt.
Oh, is he?
If Tillman has an injury, then that is
playing at
definitely
least a week or two ago.
And again, Hudson kind of said like we've got guys with injury situations. We're talking. I don't know that you can look at this roster and say, oh, he chose that guy over that guy. I don't know if you can even do that based on the timing of this, the fact that he's an interim coach, and some of these players are probably not keen necessarily to come into Nations League games across the ocean. Some guys are playing a lot, and you might not call them in. Some guys are playing it not at all, and you might not call them in. Some guys are so clearly talented but not playing. You have to call them in if they're available, like Sergiño Dest. I just don't know that there's a lot of like clear logic on any of these. Does that make sense to you?
Yeah,
Is that what I'm saying?
I think, listen, the only weird one here is Johnny Cardoso. Everyone else here, I think Alan Sonora, you give him another chance. He looked okay. I think the reason I want to see Alan Sonora here is because I feel that unfortunately he was dragged down by the quality of players that were around him in the cupcake window. I'm really anxious to see because I feel like he plays very similar to Luca Della Torre. I think he looks very composed on the ball. He's very smooth with the ball, and the people that were around him were not. So I'm anxious to see what he looks like with a jump in level, and so I'm very excited to see him here. I would love to see a midfield late in the game that has a Yunus Musa, Luca Della Torre, and Alan Sonora in it, and see what they can do as a threesome. So the only one here is the question mark is Johnny Cardoso. Otherwise, the midfield has been nailed. It's good.
Okay. Forwards: Taylor Booth, Daryl Dike, Ricardo Pepi, Christian Pulisic, Giovanni, Tim Weah, and Alex Zendejas. Mr. Dubois.
Chalk. This is the
Chalk.
best. This is
Chalk?
the best. I think it's the best guys you could have pulled up for this. I mean, there is a question of Josh Sargent not being ready to come back yet, come back from injury.
Just came back from injury.
Yeah, so I mean, I think you could say Brandon Vasquez might be a striker easier, but once again, the MLS guys aren't getting pulled up. So
the only forward, the only center forward here that's not here that's in good form that you could make an argument is a guy who's at the World Cup and we've seen. And that's Haji Wright.
I think he just came back from injury one game, and he scored in that game. But he just came back from injury.
Yeah, he's coming back from injury too. You're right. That's fair. He's still maybe working on his fitness a little bit. Taylor Booth is the hot new thing.
That's the one.
But
here's what worries me, and Taylor Booth has looked amazing for Utrecht this season, and a lot of big names are being talked about where he might end up, even within the Netherlands. Even the Ajax and other teams are being mentioned. So. My worry is that where I think
is an admirer. Come on, Ten Hag's an admirer. Let's go.
My issue is I feel that where he looks best when I watch him is chalk on the sidelines, and I think in a wide 4-4-2 position he looks most comfortable, and I don't see the U.S. playing him into those spaces. So the question, and I saw some people even asking, why is he listed as a forward, not a midfielder? I saw people saying that. I think he's a hybrid. He's a little bit in between. He's kind of an old school player in that way. I think he can play at the front of a three, but I think he's even better if he's wide. And if he's wide, that's going to take up the space you want Sergiño Dest operating in. So it'll be interesting to see how he's utilized.
Well, Sergiño Dest likes to drift inside. It's kind of one of the things he does. I mean, I'm not saying you might have some concerns with how they share space and how that all works out. We've seen Tim Weah play on the right side and play not as a chalk on his boots kind of winger, but he will play wide. He gives you width. He gets to the end line. If Taylor Booth can approximate Tim Weah when he steps in, if Weah's not there, hey, give me Taylor Booth. Let's go.
What I love though, it is a ball handler. I mean, he is a slasher. Like he's an old school NBA slasher. This guy wants the ball at his feet.
I'm going to give you just a cumulative one, and I don't think you were actually trying. But we got a threesome in there. We got a ball handler in there. I just feel like there's a Dubois. There's a J. Rodius.
My reputation has preceded me.
I just have to bring these together. Okay, so Taylor Booth is the one who jumps out for a lot of people. Daryl Dike. I mean, I'm just happy for him, right? I'm just happy for the guy.
Scored again today on a one-time volley. Almost scored on a fantastic two-touch 360 move to a volley midweek or on the weekend. So he's in nice form right now for West Brom. So bring him in. Great to see that guy. And Ricardo Pepi has earned it. Ricardo Pepi has earned it 100%.
Yeah, I hope that when this season ends, that Augsburg figures out some place for him to go permanently that's going to be a good fit for him. And maybe that's
So
the Netherlands.
what is the best 11 here?
Hold on. Let me look at this. I do have a comment about Pulisic because Hudson mentioned that they're going to talk to Chelsea's training staff and try to figure out what the minutes situation might be for Pulisic because he's coming back from injury, right? He's not 100% fit. We've already had somebody say, because we're a cynical bunch of bastards, that Pulisic's probably going to get hurt in this window and then miss the rest of the year for Chelsea. I hope that doesn't happen, obviously, but I could see Pulisic being a super sub in both these games. I could see him getting limited minutes and not starting either one of these matches. I don't think that's going to happen. I think
There's
he
a
will start
conversation
at
too.
least.
Is he the best option there right now with getting just coming back from Chelsea? He may not be the best option right now.
Well, okay, let's do that. Let's do a quick best 11, starting 11. Again, we have to work from the 4-3-3. I know you're.
Let's work from a 4-3-3. I'll name my starter and you ding if you match.
Okay, that's cool. I like the ding. Let's go.
All right, starting in goalkeeper, Matt Turner.
Okay.
Better ding. Okay.
Matty Turner, as they say.
Left back, I believe we're going to see obviously Andy Robinson. That's chalk. That's the best left back we have anywhere in the pool. Starting center backs, Tim Ream, and I'm
if you don't want to go with the left,
I'm going to go with Miles Robinson
and Mark. Okay, I'll stick with that. I mean, those are the two best players, I think. But,
I think obviously McKenzie's in better form, but I think Miles Robinson was a locked-in starter at one point. You know, we got to see if he can be back at that level.
think Miles Robinson is a better player than Mark McKenzie overall, but that doesn't necessarily mean you have to start him. But we'll see.
And then I'm big. Oh man, I kind of Junior Destin. Once again, this is what the conversation. Who's the maybe the more attractive player versus who's in form?
Don't do Serge like that.
I'll say
Don't do
Dest.
Serge like that. He's the best player.
But I think there is a
position
conversation
by a mile.
about once again who's in better form. And
No,
that's Joe Scally.
that's well.
But he doesn't give you the same thing. He does
playing
not give you the
more.
same thing.
Playing okay. I'm not saying.
But I'll
that
say
Scally's
Serginho
having
Dest.
Bad days. Okay. All right, let's
midfield.
move it. Yes.
Midfield for me, I'm going to go, and this might be against what some other people will do, but the first one, obviously, Weston McKennie, Yunus Musa, and here's where the question mark comes.
Yeah.
Is it Brendan Harrison? Is it Luca De La Torre? For me, I'm going Luca De La Torre.
All right, so you're putting Luca in there and then shifting Weston to the, or which one? Eunice,
I think-
Weston, who's playing the 6?
In these, okay, are we talking about these games or in the best 11? Because in these games, it doesn't really matter.
Make your starting 11 from this group and then tell me what are they going to spin around? Like
I would
just
put-
swap
I would
positions
put-
for 90 minutes?
I would put Weston McKennie, Yunus Musa, more of a double pivot with Luca De La Torre in front of him.
Okay, hold on. You said Weston McKennie. Do that one more time. Sorry.
Weston McKennie, Yunus Musa, and more of a double pivot, and with Luca De La
Luka
Torre
ahead of
above
them?
him. Yeah, as a distributor. Yeah,
All right.
I think he can unlock the offense with passing.
I'll see that. I'll see that.
And Yunus Musa or Weston McKennie can always carry the ball out of that pivot if they ever have the opportunity.
Just trying to think of where that space is for Luca to work in and how Weston, as the seesaw is going to work. Because
Well, you got to remember, we brought 2 true number 9s this time around. There will be more room ahead of that midfield because you're going to have a guy pushing on the back line.
Guy pushing the back line. Yeah, okay. And then go to your front line for me.
My front line for me, on the right, I'm going to go with Tim Weah.
Okay.
I'm going to go with Ricardo Pepi is probably the better option right now out of this.
Why? Why is that?
He's just been scoring for the whole season. He's been scoring for the whole season.
This is just
Daryl
based on
DK
form,
is just
not-
getting back.
not-
He doesn't
not
even start
toolkit.
all the games consistently for West Brom. They're not necessarily sold in him as a starter.
Okay.
He
I
splits
just like
time.
his physicality. I'm going to say DK.
Oh, I
I'd rather
agree.
start DK.
Okay. And then on the left, I'm going to go Gio Reyna right now. I think...
Okay.
What?
I'm confused by what you're doing. You're picking your preferred 11, or you're picking.
But I think the best 11 is right now for who's in form and like what's going on. I don't know that Christian Pulisic is the best player right now. I haven't seen him play since January. He played like 20 minutes as a sub.
Yeah, I understand that. I know, and Gio's got significantly more minutes, even if they've been spotty
And he's
for the last
performed
month.
in the minutes that he's had.
Has he though? He got a start off of those 3 goals. He got a start. He wasn't real good against Leverkusen. I don't know. I'm not saying Gio's not worth starting. Of course, he's talented.
And I'm not saying
good.
Pulisic's not worth it, not potentially the better player here.
Let's call that a flip of the coin then. All right. Okay. And I don't know that Gio has a side necessarily.
If I'm gonna do anything, I'll give you Pulisic. I'll give you Pulisic there, and we're gonna say screw Anthony Hudson's list, and we're gonna pull Luca De La Torre and put Gio Reyna in that spot in the midfield.
Okay,
Giovanni
I
Reyna
can see
there.
that.
I think
can see
I
that.
was going
Now,
with what Anthony Hudson had out there. I think that's a worthwhile change. So you have a Musa, Musa,
do that.
McKennie, and Reyna midfield.
You do that, you have to be disciplined with the ball. Right? I'm not saying that there's a ton of danger from Grenada. I don't know enough, but El Salvador will kill you on a counter if you give the ball up.
Well, I mean, we're going to put Johnny Cardoso in there? Where are you going to get defense in the midfield?
No, what I'm saying is that if you put Gio in the midfield, it's a very attack-minded lineup without anybody I feel comfortable sort of controlling the ball in tight
I think you're not
spaces.
giving Wes McKinney, Yunus Musa enough credit for being in the lanes, in the passing lanes, and disruption.
Fair enough. I mean, again, they do cover ground. They do get in those positions. Just thinking, Giovanni Reyna in that spot's not going to give you a ton of defensive help. Just not going to give you a ton of
So
defensive
I'll
help.
give you Christian Pulisic at the front to left position, and we'll put Gio Reyna instead of Luca De La Torre in that midfield.
I mean, I can go with the Gio on the left thing. Have we seen Gio on the left for the U.S.? I'm not saying it matters too much.
I don't think he can play anywhere up
He's
there.
going to play. He's going to play. Outside in no matter what.
He's one of
And
those
you got
guys.
Robinson coming up that side. So
I'm not worried about him playing anywhere in the front six.
yeah. No, look, this shouldn't
Even a
be
striker
that
as a
complicated.
nine, as a false nine, he could do that too if he needed to.
Yeah,
Dude's
I know,
6
I
foot.
know.
He can get on the end of balls too. 6'2" or something like that.
Okay, man, you're just killing me. You're killing me. Okay. All right, so that's the situation with the U.S. men's national team. Again, everybody reporting after the weekend. We'll see if Gio answers questions in Orlando and how Anthony Hudson handles all this and who plays. And it's a weird thing to get excited about. It really it is because, as you said, it's the Nations League. What is that? Oh, we've had that moment in Denver with Ethan Horvath off the bench and Kellen Acosta talking trash and all of that stuff.
Hey, give it up for the Reynas. At least they got us interested in a meaningless competition in March.
There is that.
They're
We got a
right.
couple
They
of-
have done a lot for U.S. soccer.
We got a couple minutes left, and I don't know that bonus is going to happen tonight. Okay.
All right,
Although
Nikki's
we're-
waving a finger. Nikki's waving a finger.
Oh,
You wanna
okay.
in on
Let's
something?
bring in Nicholas Soup and Sausage, who does have does have a new studio to show off. Apparently,
The Sausage King of Chicago.
Is that Rick Rubin's place?
Reporting for duty? Is that what's happening?
Spinning
Is
the
that-
dials.
Is that where Diddy did that Super Bowl commercial? Is that where that is? Is that where you are right now? Okay.
Yeah, how'd you
go
know?
ahead. Yeah, go ahead.
What you got, Nick?
So you guys called me out earlier. You
We did.
thought that Danielle,
Many
Reyna,
times.
and Eric Winalda.
He's digging in, Jared. He's digging in. He's digging in.
Wait, are you
Let's
doing
go.
a callback because you were hurt, your feelings were hurt?
Let me see.
You tell me there's not a resemblance.
They're
I
both
don't see
generic looking white people. I love Eric Winalda,
I don't see
by
it.
the way, but they're both generic looking white people.
Maybe they have the same
I don't
eye
know.
color. I don't know.
I
They're
don't know.
both wrong.
They're both.
Okay.
We're wrong.
Okay, this is great
They
for the
don't look-
podcast listeners.
They don't look so much alike that you're like they have to be related. It's just that they look similar-ish.
Nick, now you have to put that on our socials because now
don't
anyone
wanna
listening to
offend
the
Joe.
show is not going to know.
Yeah,
What
I
the
mean,
hell
you
are
put
you
up a
talking
picture of Jared at the right time of day next to Eric Ronaldo. You probably think, oh, those
All right,
guys
you,
are.
you got a couple people in the chat saying they have the same mouth, and one
Okay.
says, "I can see
David
it. I'm with
says-
soup."
I'm with Soup. All right.
Thanks, Dave.
That's right. I'm with Soup. What I was going to say is with probably no bonus this evening, although we're making a lot of stuff for the bonus people, for the Patreon subscribers. Please go subscribe at thebestsoccershow.com or patreon.com/thebestsoccershow. Old Dad FC is up and going. I'm like dropping various.
Yeah, I
thoughts
listened to
and-
one the other day.
Yeah, making stuff over there. I might be doing some behind the scenes. I might be doing some throwback stuff. Jared, you saw this, right? I shared this in our bestie Slack, in our private channel. I found a document from a podcast idea that we must have been working on like 9 years ago.
That's an
years
interesting
ago.
thing for that. Would be an interesting thing for a bonus show is for because I have old stuff I worked on too, like game show ideas and like different things. Like bringing up a random document from 10 years ago, like the Google Doc, and just try to figure out what the hell we were thinking.
I think that's actually. I looked back at it. I was like, that's not a bad idea. We could probably still pull that off. We could just. Put that, not an extra podcast. Jared didn't have time in his busy life. to
Like
do
when
it,
I
but-
looked back recently, I was like, oh, in my game show idea, I had a game called "You've Seen This Player Naked," or "You've Seen This Person
I
Naked."
remember that
So if you
idea.
have a former player
I do
on,
remember that
you
idea.
describe a player that they've been in the shower with, and see if they can figure out who it is.
It's the most roadiest idea I've ever heard.
You've
in my
seen
life.
this man naked.
If you sign up for the Patreon, you get access to the Slack for the Besties community, and it is fun. Not just soccer, all kinds of stuff. People, I'm fighting with Manny over there because he's supporting the Dominican Republic, Santo Domingo, and I'm supporting Puerto Rico in the World Baseball Classic. I don't care about the U.S. in the World Baseball Classic.
Who's supporting Haitian teams?
Does that make me a bad American, by the way? Like, I don't know. I know how to feel about this. I'm so U.S. men's national team in our sport, in soccer.
Are we talking about baseball?
Really care about the baseball. I know you don't care about baseball. I'm asking Nikki Soup and Salad over there.
Out.
You're out. No World Baseball Classic for you?
Not a baseball guy.
That's a thing?
Yes, it's a thing. It's sort of like the World Cup for
They're
baseball.
trying to
but
make
it's
it
not,
the World Cup.
I don't
But
say
here's
trying to
Okay,
make it.
but are any Americans of note playing?
Yeah, Mike Trout is
No.
playing for the U.S.
Well, here's the
Trout
thing.
still plays?
So here's the thing. They're playing this in spring training. So the pitchers can't actually really pitch. Like they
No, but that
are
doesn't-
limited.
Oh, so it's like the
Okay.
CCL, so everyone's out of shape and no one's in the
It's a
everyone's in
little
the
bit
preseason.
like that. No, look, certainly their Major League Baseball teams or whatever. These guys, not all of them play for Major League Baseball teams because some countries don't have any Major League players. But yeah, there's rules. Pitchers can only throw 65 pitches and all that stuff. Yeah, but it doesn't make it less fun when it's Dominicans against Puerto Ricans. Like, not only do they have a very similar culture,
Like is are Americans like just dominating this?
No.
they're not.
They
No,
lost.
they did lose to Mexico 11-5, which is why I brought this up. Because I didn't feel that pain
Mexico?
that I feel if the U.S. loses to Mexico in soccer.
Was
and
it
I was
Dos
like,
a Cero?
It was 11-5. It's once a cinco. Are you gonna? I don't know. I can't do it. Once a cinco. I don't think it really works out really well. But anyway, I don't know.
I'm kind of interested in this now, just for the Mexico hate.
I just thought about this. I just thought about that idea. Anyway, there's the Slack, the bonus content, the Old Dad FC. I'm working on some other stuff. I'm thinking about introducing a new tier. If you just want like only bonus access, we'll go down and start a new tier for that. Check it out. But since there's no bonus, do we want to talk Ted Lasso or is it too soon?
I haven't watched yet. I'm watching it.
Oh,
I've
you
seen
God,
it.
you suck.
Last night,
You
listen.
suck.
Last night, it was my turn for Tuesdays and family movie night in the Jerry Rodia's house, and it was my
What'd you
pick.
What'd you pick?
It was my pick.
What'd you pick?
The jerk.
You really followed through on the jerk with your
Yes,
kids?
I did.
can't believe it.
A couple
I can't
problematic
believe it.
points. There were a couple problematic points in
A
there.
couple.
There's a couple.
He plays this white guy who, for some reason, is raised by a black family, and he calls himself.
He
a
was
poor
left
black
on their
child.
doorstep. What do you want him to do? Not raise him because
I
he's
know.
white?
I'm just saying, it's such a weird choice in 2023 to show your
Still
kids.
funny.
It's
Still funny.
I'm sure it's funny. Steve Martin is funny. Come on.
He hates these cans.
I know. That's the first thing I thought of too.
I had
Get
the
away from
weirdest
these
thing.
cans.
I had to explain to my kids what a phone book was. Because like the new phone book's
wow.
here, the new phone book's here. They don't,
Yeah.
And when he was using a rotary phone, and the kids started laughing, he goes, "Is that the joke? He doesn't know how to use it?" I'm like, "No, that's how you use the rotary phone. You spin the dial. Like he's doing it right."
Who's the gas station owner?
Perry,
Who is
Jackie
it?
Mason, almost
Jackie
Perry
Mason.
Jackie Mason.
Jackie Mason. Wow. Jackie Mason, Bernadette Peters, Steve
Bernadette
Martin.
Peters still hot.
Oh man. Yeah.
Bernadette
wow.
Peters, the name I heard in Shrinking.
Oh yeah, now
I'm
that Nikki's
enjoying
watching
that
it
show.
finally.
Was she
Yeah,
was she
I'm
mentioned
caught
in
up.
Shrinking?
Yeah,
When
she was
mentioned
in
Shrinking?
in the proposal episode. Yeah. Have you watched it, Jason? Have you watched Shrinking?
No, yeah, I'm caught up on Shrinking.
Okay.
I am.
Fantastic
I was
show.
actually, I was
Very
going to
good.
mention that we talked about this in the Slack. Pickleball. There's a guy who runs like the major pickleball league, thinks they're going to have better ratings than MLS in the next 5 years, which he might be
Pickleball
right. I
and
don't
disc
know.
golf are really going at it right now for the.
But
for
they're
that
like,
next big
pickleball
contract.
jokes all over Shrinking. So that's the only way I really know anything about pickleball.
Maybe I'll use that to get in shape.
Pickleball doesn't feel
Pickleball,
like there's
that's
a lot
what
of
my wife and I call
activity.
it.
It's kind of like just a bunch of lunging, right? Just
Well,
like a
better than
lunge a
just
little
sitting
bit.
around doing nothing.
Yeah, I know.
You got a Peloton in the other room, dude. Get on it. You can wear your tank tops.
Yeah. He's got no space. Look at that studio. There's no space in there for a Peloton.
know,
I
Where
got
are you
plenty
gonna
of
put
space for funtivities.
it? Wait, what? What is that? A funtivity?
Is it activities?
Yeah. Okay. Any other business then? I mean, should we wrap? Are we done here?
We
Do
should
have
wrap.
Any other news? Do you want to talk about? Do you want to take a dump on Austin, Jared? Do you have any particular interest in that?
My team is so bad, I can't dump on anyone, dude. Like my team is horrible. Josh,
All right, fair.
when your keeper is the keeper of the week because he had to make 11 saves, that's not good.
That's a good point.
My
That's
team
a
beat
good point.
Seattle.
What's the
Didn't
score?
see
I
that
mean, I
coming.
know we're live, and by the time people listen to this, it'll be already done. What's the score for Orlando? Are they losing? Is it
I heard
over for them?
FS2 cut the game and
No,
went to
Orlando
other
City
coverage.
scored. It's 1-1. But Tigres will have an away goals tiebreaker because I think we're still using those over here. And the rest of the world was like, screw away goals. CONCACAF was like, nah, we're still doing away
I
goals.
don't have any
think
problem
that's
with
right.
it, honestly.
I think
Better than
that's right.
3-leg fixtures.
That's coming. That's coming. Oh, last thing I'll mention, since you're talking playoffs, have you heard about MLS Next Pro and what they're doing now? Now, look, nobody cares about that league. It's purely developmental. They can mess around with the rules all they want. MLS is letting the higher seeds pick their opponents in the playoffs. What do you think
That's
of that?
badass, dude.
You like
That's
that?
badass. Because I've told you for years, I don't like that the top seed team tells you that you have to have the home game first. Like, if you're the top seed, you should have the choice if you want to have home game first or second. Like, do you want to play the second game where it's a must win away? Like, they should have more things like that where it's optional. And I love that. Pick your opponent, schoolyard, and watch LAFC pick the Galaxy.
Well,
Who are you?
that'd be
Galaxy's
fun.
not going to make
That'd
it.
be
I don't know what we're talking about. One last thing before we go. This is from Urias Tosh. Just had a baby. Got back from the hospital. It's 4 a.m. and I put on the best soccer show. That's soccer. Congratulations
Jared,
to you, sir.
Where is he?
4 a.m.
It's 4
Where's
a.m.
4 a.m. right now?
6 hours in front of us. Where do you think that is? Where is that?
It's got to be England,
That's
right?
this is hours in front of you. Yeah, it's 9 hours from me. That's probably Europe. That'd be Europe right
Yeah.
now.
It's your
Because they're not. They're 6 hours right now because we changed our clocks.
It's normally 5. We changed our clocks and now it's 6. I think that's
Yeah.
right. Because the Champions League started at 4 today. And
Yeah, I
all
was like,
thrown off.
Congratulations to you and little baby soup and sausage.
Yes. Name him Soup and Sausage, please, in honor of our show.
Name him Kevin M.
Please do that. Yes, name him Rhodius. Name him Rhodius.
Middle
and
name
then
Rhodius.
Middle name Rhodius. Urias Rhodius? Or is it
That's
Urias?
pretty bad. It
is
sounds
Urias
like
Rhodius,
Greek
not
or
bad.
Latin or something.
Oh, it sounds like a Roman general who tried to take over as emperor.
Try to beat
like 12
invade
BC.
Russia in the winter. Yeah.
Yeah, Urias Rhodius took an army from across the river. What's the river? The Rubicon. He took them across the Rubicon. Anyway, anything else, guys?
That's it, guys.
Anybody? Yeah. All right. Thank you very much for listening. Again, patreon.com/thebestsoccershow. Follow us on all of your social media platforms. You know what? Share Nicholas Soup and Salad's incredible work with the Americans far
Subscribe.
and wide. Subscribe. Yes, subscribe on YouTube. Do that too.
That's the
do
quickest
do
way to
rating-
get the show.
ratings and reviews, please. Like, do that too. I think we're probably not really doing much in that area. Some of you haven't written us a review. It would help us if you did. So we appreciate it. Thank you. Talk to you guys next week. Bye.
Duh and or hello.
Damn, dog, that's an approach.
The Sausage King of Chicago.
Is that JTT?
OFFBG13, it's JTT!
WNBC. WNBC.
Michael freaking Arasco Fiscal.
Go to DEF CON 2.
Calm down, Greg. It's soccer. It's soccer.
Get to the chopper!
Who asked those questions?
What are we doing?
The horror show.
Danger Zone!
Jay Rodius.